Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a video on the top 10 best builds in Diablo 4 Season 8. These will be the strongest builds in the game, able to push the furthest into the pit. Therefore, these games are able to bring the most damage and most survivability of any builds in the game. Tons of builds are viable for Torment 4 content. If you're doing Infernal Hordes, if you're doing boss runs, if you're doing Helltide or any other activity. But now we're looking at what are the top 10 most powerful builds in the game. Do be sure, however, to have checked out my class tier list video, which is where we rank classes based on their ability to perform in all aspects of the game, not just pit pushing. You can find that on Rhykker.com, as well as my Season 8 Ultimate Guide. And that brings us to a word from this video's sponsor. I built my website using Squarespace, and I was able to do everything myself quickly and easily and with zero education in the field, all thanks to how easy Squarespace is to work with. Squarespace has a new AI tool called Design Intelligence, which combines 2 decades of industry-leading web design expertise with the latest AI tech to empower you to build a beautiful-looking, personalized website made exactly for your needs and your unique identity. Squarespace even has optimized SEO tools so that you can launch your website and start getting views as quickly as possible. Squarespace is flexible for any kind of website with tons of design options to pick from. You can easily connect all your social accounts and also upload your video content and organize your video library. You can sell products or services, and with Squarespace Payment, you have an easy way to manage your payments in one place. You're just a few clicks away from being able to receive payments through your website, all while offering customers popular payment methods like Apple Pay, ClearPay, Klarna, and ACH Direct Debit. Basically, if you want to build a website, I recommend Squarespace. So head to squarespace.com/Rhykker or click the link in the description to start your free trial and use code Rhykker to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/RHYKKER and use code Rhykker. All right, let's start with number 10. And this is going to be the only spiritborn build on this list, the Quill Volley Spiritborn. And the gameplay footage you're seeing is from Judnich. Let's start with the good. The Quill Volley Spiritborn is the best spiritborn build. It's an excellent all-arounder. No matter what you want to do in the game, Quill Volley is pretty much the spiritborn's best option. You can run other spiritborn builds. There are other viable alternatives, but the Quill Volley is just kind of the end-all be-all in every situation. Unfortunately, in terms of absolute power, even Quill Volley falls significantly behind the best builds of other classes. Balance isn't in a terrible place overall in Season 8, but the Spiritborn is a step behind at the highest levels of play. I do hope to see Spiritborn buffs. Now, while Quill Volley is an Eagle skill, we're actually using the Gorilla primary spirit and the Jaguar secondary spirit. Gorilla will grant us much needed barriers to stay alive in the high pits, and the Jaguar will help us stack damage buffs. We're going to want to use the Harmony of Ibiwaka Unique Helm, because according to your secondary Spirit Hall choice, your skills are all additionally Jaguar skills. And your skills deal an extra 30% increased damage per spirit type that they have. So our Quill Volley is going to be an Eagle skill at base, a Gorilla skill from our primary Gorilla, and also a Jaguar skill thanks to our Harmony of Ibiwaka. So we're stacking big multipliers. Now, Quill Volley Spiritborn was the best build, super overpowered, when the Spiritborn released in Season 6. Part of that was the Rod of Kepaleki. It has since been nerfed, but it is still our best option for this build here. Your core skills are now additionally basic skills and free to cast. When cast at max vigor, which you want to be doing, your core skills consume all vigor to cast at their largest size and become guaranteed crit strikes with increased crit strike damage for each point of vigor spent this way. Combine that with the Ring of the Midnight Sun. When you critically strike, you regain 50% of the vigor you spent in the last 2 seconds, and the build ping-pongs your spirit up and down, up and down. That takes us to number 9, our first sorcerer build, the Frozen Orb Sorcerer. And the footage you're seeing in the background is from Lurkin. Now, at first blush, this might seem kind of like a Lightning Spear build, and this build ought to look familiar. Back in Season 5, we were using the Fractured Winterglass Amulet, and that is once again the core of this build. With the Fractured Winterglass, your Frozen Orbs will be spawning Conjurations, and your Conjurations will be spawning Frozen Orbs. Now, Lightning Spear is the Conjuration that we're hoping to trigger here, and Lightning Spear is our main form of damage, but really what you're spamming is Frozen Orbs, so we're calling this a Frozen Orb build. Another key part of the Fractured Winterglass is its implicit. Conjuration cooldowns are reduced by a number of seconds when a Frozen Orb explodes. So this build is basically all about spamming Frozen Orb to shoot lightning spears everywhere. On to number 8, a barbarian build, Mighty Throw. And the gameplay footage you're seeing here is by Beat Dropper. The Mighty Throw Barbarian is an excellent single target beast. Now, Mighty Throw is a skill on a 12-second cooldown, but once you get the third blade unique sword, it removes the cooldown, but instead gives it a fury cost, basically turning it into a core skill. However, for pit pushing, we're actually going to put the cooldown back onto Mighty Throw with the delayed extinction legendary aspect. With this, Mighty Throw now gains multiplicative damage instead of cooldown from cooldown reduction, and their damage is increased by 500%. So the core gameplay of Mighty Throw actually consists of spamming back and forth Rupture and Death Blow to reset the cooldown on Mighty Throw. This is thanks to the Weapon Master glyph. Hitting with a Weapon Mastery skill reduces the active cooldown of another random Weapon Mastery skill by 2 seconds. Both Death Blow and Rupture are Weapon Mastery skills with cooldowns, but thanks to the third blade, they don't have cooldowns anymore. And whenever it's available, you pop your Mighty Throw. On to number 7, another barbarian build. This is the Earthquake Barbarian. And the gameplay footage you're seeing is from Old Fox. Last season, we had the Earthquake Barbarian in second spot. It got heavily nerfed, but it's still strong enough to be on the top 10 list. The classic Earthquake build makes use of the Mantle of Mountains Fury. Hammer of the Ancients also forms a seismic line that deals its damage and slows enemies hit. Earthquakes it passes through explode for their total damage and are consumed. Now, we'll be primarily spawning our Earthquakes with the Lith Tech Rune combo. Standing still while fighting for 0.3 seconds invokes Barbarian's Earthquake. And then we're just turbo buffing Earthquake damage everywhere. And then of course use your Hammer of the Ancients to detonate them all. That takes us to number 6, the only Druid build on this list, Cataclysm. In Season 7 we had Cataclysm at number 3. It is on the way down. And the footage you're seeing is by Boiler. Now Cataclysm is just about as strong as it used to be, but it's more annoying to play perfectly. And that's because it no longer snapshots its damage bonuses between casts. But for instance, to maximize your damage, you're going to want to make use of Provocation. When you remain in Werebear form for at least 20 seconds, your next non-defensive skill will overpower. So you want to make sure that that is going to be Cataclysm. If you are just mindlessly spamming buttons, you will not play this as effectively as you can. It'll still be okay, but you're not going to be rocketing up pit levels. Now, the Mjolnir ring is a key piece of gear here. While Cataclysm is active, you gain unlimited spirit and deal double damage. It's also giving you +3 to Endless Tempest. This increases the duration of Cataclysm, and it makes it receive your Lightning Bolt benefits, so now you can stack buffs to Lightning Bolt to turbocharge your Cataclysm. You want to include even more synergies by wearing a Tempest Roar. Your base Storm skills are now also Werewolf skills, so now it's benefiting from Werewolf buffs, so basically there's just so many synergistic buffs enabled with these two items. And that takes us to number 5, another Barbarian build, and the strongest Barbarian build it's looking like, the Call of the Ancients Barbarian, aka the Minion Barbarian, which is actually another Earthquake build. It's just another delivery system for Earthquake, but it's distinct enough to earn its own category. And the gameplay footage you're seeing here is from Snail. With Season 8, Call of the Ancients now benefits from more types of buffs than it previously did, allowing this build to rise. Now, thanks to the Ariat's Bearing Pants, Korlik will now create Earthquakes. And as we all know, Earthquakes deal big damage. This build basically consists of spamming all your buttons constantly, keeping your Call of the Ancients up as much as possible, and letting the Earthquakes go boom. That takes us to number 4, the only rogue build on the list, Death Trap. And the gameplay footage is by Matthias the Gamer. Last season we had Death Trap down in 9th place. It has risen tremendously. This is by far the number 1 most recommended rogue build for pretty much anything. This build is all about spamming Death Trap. Simple as that. Now you want the unique pants Eyes of the Dark. Death Trap deals 150% increased damage and will rearm itself once after activating. So you're getting 2 traps for the price of 1. You're also going to be stacking a ton of cooldown reduction, and you're going to be making use of Preparation. Spending energy reduces your ultimate's cooldown. Throw in some Beast Fall boots. When you cast an alt skill, your next core skill will consume all your energy, and you're going to be able to rapidly drain your energy. And thanks to the Aftermath passive, whenever you cast an ultimate, you're going to restore 25 energy. This build is really fun. That takes us to number 3, a necromancer build, Bone Spear. And the footage here is from Serok. Bone Spear lives once more. There were some bugs making it not quite work properly in Season 7, but now those were fixed. Now we're going to want to make use of Indira's Memory. Bone Spear is additionally a blood skill that consumes a corpse to launch a bone spear from it, draining 10% of your max life on hit. It's also giving you ranks to Tides of Blood. And we were just talking about the importance of synergies and opening up to more synergistic buffs, so the blood tag right there really helps. Now, another key aspect here is Bone Dusters. Bone Spear is guaranteed to overpower enemies within Bone Prison and deal 50% increased damage to them. I'm currently running this build, and it's tough to play. It's a lot tougher than some of the more mindless builds. Positioning is very important. There's a whole rotation to things. You need to be popping your corpse tendrils to group enemies. You cast the Bone Prison. You shoot them while they're in that, because when those conditions are not being met, you are not dealing damage, basically. But with this build, you feel like a precision sniper. Well, a sniper with a rate of fire of like 200 rounds per minute. Of course, you're going to want to use the Deathless Visage unique. Bone Spear deals more crit strike damage, and casting it forms echoes. This also gives us more ranks to Bone Spear. It gives us additional chance to double cast Bone Spear. And like right now, I don't even have the build maxed out, and I have like plus 30 some odd ranks to Bone Spear. That takes us on to build number 2, the build that I thought would be number 1, in fact, and who knows, might be the Bloodwave Necromancer. Gameplay footage by Skull M. Last season, we had the Bloodwave Necro as the number 1 best build, and honestly, it might still be. We'll get to that when we get to the number 1 build. But Bloodwave Necro took a hit, still super, super strong. You're going to want the Pants Kesemi's Legacy. Bloodwave now forms a wave on each side of you. Both waves converge at your feet, dealing a ton of damage. Oh, it also pulls in the surrounding enemies. Set them up and knock them down. You're going to want to use the aspect of Ultimate Shadow. Bloodwave is now a darkness skill. And what do we just say about synergies? Scale shadow damage, scale blood damage. Throw in the fast blood aspect that makes blood orbs reduce the cooldown of your blood wave, and you're able to pop this often enough to destroy anything in your path. Tidal aspect gets you even more blood waves per cast of blood wave. This build is awesome. Now that takes us to the number 1 build as of right now. Rising up from rank 8 last season, we have the Lightning Spear Sorcerer that is performing better than expected. It's performing so well, in fact, that some people are thinking maybe Blizzard will nerf it. I think that's probably not going to happen, but we'll see how far it ends up pushing. Now, yes, we knew that Lightning Spear was going to be the best Sorcerer build, but there were some interactions that people didn't foresee, and it all revolves around the Enlightenment passive. Casting any skill grants 1 stack of Enlightenment, or grants 8 if your previously cast skill was a different element. After gaining 100 stacks, you become enlightened, can no longer gain stacks, and you lose 10 per second. But while enlightened, your bonus damage with fire, lightning, and cold are equal to them combined, and you gain 25% more damage, mana regen, attack speed. We'll repeat, your bonus damage with fire, lightning, and cold are equal to them combined. So you're a lightning build, you care about bonus damage to lightning, well, take your bonus damage to fire, lightning, and cold, and that combined is your bonus damage to lightning. Now we're going to combine that with the boss power Cinnarit's Flames. Gain 5% increased damage to all elements. For each 1% of an element's resistance from bonuses, gain 0.2% increased damage for that element, up to a maximum of 25%. So 25% across 3 elements, that's 75% increased damage on Enlightenment. And that's not factoring in any other bonus damage to elements. Then we also have the aspect of the elements, gain 53% increased damage to a set of damage types for 7 seconds. These sets alternate between fire, lightning, physical, cold, poison, shadow. So when you're on fire and lightning, that's another 53 and a 53. Then you have Invoked Familiar. While you have an active Familiar, you deal 10% increased damage of its elemental type. Combine that with the Glove's C-Day Bindings. Casting Familiar now summons all 3 elemental variants at once, so that's another 30% there. But the craziest thing about these gloves is that they give an enormous amount of points to Primordial Binding passive. With this passive, you're going to gain a stacking bonus for each active summon, like everything that you're doing constantly. You can build up to a total of 10 stacks, and when this build is maxed out, every stack will be giving you 44% increased summon damage, like to your lightning spears. So 44 times 10, that's 440% more damage. If Lightning Spear gets nerfed, it'll be these gloves. And then we take the Enchantment Master Legendary node. Your enchantments are 30% stronger, And each equipped enchantment grants 40% increased damage with their main element, and 20% increased damage for the second enchantment if it is the same element. The multipliers are getting out of control. For all intents and purposes, right now it looks like Lightning Spear is going to be the strongest build of the season, to the point again that some people are thinking maybe Blizzard is going to nerf something here to bring it down a little bit, because right now it does seem to be growing further and further ahead of all other builds. But we'll have to wait and see. But that's my top 10, folks. What build did I miss that you believe deserves to be in the top 10? Sound off in the comments. Also, folks, there's currently a Berserk event ongoing. You can get this sword transmog for watching streams, and you can get this mount trophy by gifting a sub or subscribing to a Twitch streamer. And if you want to come by my streams, folks, you can generally find me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my supporters for making these videos possible. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more Diablo content.